Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you this evening direct from our war center. Actually, it's not our war center. Directly from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. I'm first going to start off this evening talking about Hurricane Debby. As you know, Hurricane Debby hit the Florida panhandle at what they call the Big Bend area of Florida at approximately 7 a.m. this morning. It was a Category 1 hurricane, a very strong Category 1 hurricane with wind speeds of at least 80 miles per hour. Hurricane Debby's center made landfall near Seinhatchee, Florida at about 7 a.m. this morning. Not just bringing in sustained winds of 80 plus miles per hour, but also a dire threat of flooding and life-threatening storm surges that came up from the Gulf Coast, and they're now beyond Florida. Now, according to the National Hurricane Center, tropical storm conditions have already been affecting Florida and Georgia, with rainfall totals in some areas as much as 10 to 12 inches. 10 to 12 inches of rain. The number of power outages at one point in Florida last night passed the 300,000 mark at 9 a.m. today. That's according to PowerOutages.us. Now, crews have been very steadily increasing power. We're going to talk about that again in just a minute here. The hardest hit counties are Taylor, with more than 13,000 customers without power. Jefferson County, more than 8,000 people without power. Suwannee County, with more than 22,000 people without power. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has held two news conferences today. One early this morning, and one earlier this afternoon. He's already filed a state of emergency declaration for 61 counties that are expected to be affected by the storm. He's also asked for National Guard to be deployed, and those guardsmen have been deployed. There have been 4 fatalities with this storm, one of which was an 18-wheeler truck that had partially fell off the Tampa Bypass Canal early this morning. The driver has been found dead. The cab of the truck fell off the bridge and into 40 feet of water. The driver is described as a 64-year-old man from New Albany, Mississippi. He lost control of on the wet roadway of his truck around 2:30 a.m. as Hurricane Debby barreled through the state, according to Florida Highway Patrol. They said it rotated, went around. It collided with a concrete barrier. And when it hit that wall on the outside shoulder, the cab traveled over the wall. And the cab went into the water. The trailer rested hanging from the bridge while the cab separated and fell into the canal. Divers from Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office later located the cab 40 feet beneath the surface, with the deceased driver inside. Now, this is normal. This is pretty much normal, I have to say. Now, I hate to say that, because I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like to talk about fatalities, but in these kinds of storms, there's going to be fatalities. The potential historic rainfall will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. According to the NHC, the National Hurricane Center, they warned this morning of heavy rainfall from southeast Georgia through South Carolina and up into southeastern North Carolina. We're going to begin to talk about that in a minute. Debby came ashore about 5 miles west of Steinhatchee, Florida, which sits along the state's Big Bend region, where the panhandle goes down into the peninsula. Okay? As of 7 a.m., the storm center was about 70 miles southeast of Tallahassee. The hurricane was moving north-northeast at 10 miles per hour after it made landfall. Now, it has changed. The hurricane's path and also the miles per hour it is traveling forward has changed. It's not going 10 miles per hour, it's not going 7 miles per hour, but it's going to it's down to 2 or 3 miles per hour as a headwind. 2 to 3 miles per hour. This is going to result in this storm dumping feet of water on our already parched landscape. For the most part, it's a parched landscape in northern Florida going up into Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. The landscape has not had much rain. Okay, so the rain now is going to inundate these 3 states. The National Hurricane Center upgraded Debby to a Category 1 hurricane late Sunday night, early Monday morning. Just 2 days earlier, it had been identified as a disturbance. Just 2 days earlier, it had been identified as a disturbance over eastern Cuba, with the potential to develop into a tropical storm. Not only did it go into a tropical storm, it became a hurricane early this morning. Okay? It's hard to even talk about. It's hard to even talk about because so much has changed in the past, I want to say even 24 hours. Now, this storm quickly strengthened as it moved over the warm waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Then, when it got up towards Florida, to the Big Bend area of Florida, it dropped further south. So it should have hit the Big Bend area of Florida late last night, about 9 o'clock. The storm moved south for whatever reason. So the storm had an additional nearly 12 hours to strengthen into a full-blown hurricane. A whole another 12 hours to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane. The storm quickly strengthened as it moved over the warm waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Late last night, the storm moved south, like it said, over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Let me show you the picture of it. Okay? I want to show you, because it's very, very important to understand what happened. Okay? This is a storm as it hit landfall. But late last night, it went south. And the outer bands of the hurricane swirled over southern and central Florida. The outer bands had a lot of water, a lot of rainfall, and it spun off thunderstorms and tornadoes. The outer bands over central and southern Florida had thunderstorms and spun off tornadoes. That is what's happening now. There are tornado watches in northern Florida and over in Georgia right now. The storm eye wall is over the border area of northern Florida and Georgia. Okay? That's where it started last night and early this morning. And you can see the outer bands of the hurricane are actually way further north over in South Carolina and North Carolina as well. Look at those outer bands to the north. This is a strong storm. We have not had any rain whatsoever here where I live in Morganton, North Carolina. Yes, we see high clouds floating over us right now. High clouds. But sooner or later, probably come tomorrow morning, those clouds will start dumping rainfall on us here, and as well as Georgia and South Carolina as well. Okay? Warm ocean temperatures and higher sea levels are making hurricanes and tropical storms more intense, leading to heavier rainfall and more extreme flooding. Now, forecasters are warning of a potential deadly storm surge in Florida. Forecasters have been warning and are continuing to warn for a potential deadly storm surge in Florida. And with Debby expecting to move slowly over land, it will also drop heavy rain and likely trigger both urban and river flooding in the southeastern United States. Today I've seen videos that I'm not allowed to share because I would get a copyright strike from showing them, but I had videos I wanted to show you where FEMA crews and rescue crews from all over Florida were helping elderly people out of their homes, handicapped people out of their homes, into the back of big trucks to get them out of the high water. There were rescue crews in boats that got the elderly people out of their homes, transported them over to big trucks to get them through the water in the streets. Yes, they had rafts and boats out in the streets. That's how much water there was. Again, the Weather Service is also warning about urban and river flooding in the southeastern United States. Watches and warnings are issued for hurricane conditions and tropical storm conditions and storm surges. Storm surges are expected to be ranging from 2 feet to 10 feet high. Storm surges. What are storm surges? Storm surges are wind-driven waves. Wind-driven waves up over the land. That's what we're going to see in Georgia. That's what we're going to see in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina area, and also going north into southeastern North Carolina. Storm surge, 2 to 10 feet high. 2 to 10 feet high. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis held a briefing earlier today that Debby had followed a very similar path to Hurricane Idalia 11 months ago. But Hurricane Idalia had much higher sustained wind speeds. That was the only difference. This time, Hurricane Debby didn't have those sustained wind speeds. But we are still going to see storms hit the southeastern United States that are going to make Idalia look like child's play. So far, Florida has seen significant storm surge, and they have seen inundation. Inundation, meaning high water going over large expanses of land. Now, we're warning that Debby will likely produce significant flooding events from Sarasota, Bradenton area up to northern Florida. Rainfall amounts could reach anywhere from 6 to 18 inches in pockets of central and northern Florida, up to North Carolina through Saturday. Now let me bring up another picture for you to emphasize what that looks like. Okay? It's important to understand what's going on. Okay, let's look at this. Look at this, guys. This is exactly what we're talking about here. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Now I want to show this to you, and I'm going to enlarge it so you can see the storm totals here. Look at that. Tomorrow into Wednesday, Charleston, South Carolina, 8.5 inches of rain. 8.5 inches of rain. Savannah, Georgia, 8.5 inches of rain. Statesboro, 9.1 inches of rain. That is a lot of rainfall. Let's go up north to Myrtle Beach. Okay? Myrtle Beach says 5.1 inches of rain. That's huge. That is huge. Columbia, South Carolina, 3.3 inches of rain. This rain is going to probably happen over about a 24-hour period. So that's going to be a lot of rainfall. This is going to be a lot of rainfall over a very short time period. This is going to happen. And everybody needs to prepare. Everybody needs to prepare. Renee Steffi says, doggone ads keep popping up. That's Google, guys. It's politics time, and so Google is going to put up these ads to make money. Google is going to continue putting up these ads to make money. Let me show you the National Weather Service Hurricane Debby forecast over the next 24 hours to 5 days. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't this interesting? Rainfall amounts. Rainfall amounts. The red is 12 inches. The red you see here is 12 inches. Okay? The brown area is 16 inches of rain. We're looking about the state line between Florida and Georgia here. Look over here just south of Augusta, Georgia. Upwards of 16 to 20 inches of rain. And the pink area, the lavender area, upwards of 3 feet of rain, 30 inches of rain. 20 to 30 inches of rain. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. We are going to see a lot of water. A lot of flooding. Now, what I'm asking everybody is to get prepared. Some of you have a matter of hours. Others of you may have a day or so to get prepared for what's going to happen. You need to take this time right now to get your preparedness kits in order. You need to take this time to have your emergency plan set down in brass tacks. You need to be prepared whatever it takes. Now, I want to show you this next slide here. This is the possible second landfall of Debby. Okay? Right now, Debby is out over Georgia and trying to enter South Carolina. The outer bands of Debby is over in Georgia, Florida area, and the outer bands are reaching over into South Carolina for the points north. But Wednesday into Thursday, this storm is going to be out over open water in the Atlantic Ocean. The second landfall will be around Charleston, South Carolina, or southeastern North Carolina. Now, this storm may attempt to get stronger. This storm may attempt to get stronger as it moves out over here to the north. Look at that. Look at that, guys. This is serious. The second landfall will be probably around Charleston, South Carolina, or over as far north as southeastern North Carolina. And the outer bands of the storm are going to go way inland. The outer bands of the storm will reach far inland over to the Blue Ridge Mountain area, the Continental Divide. So what we're talking about, guys, is this storm is far from over. There's still going to be heavy rainfall. There's still going to be heavy rainfall, guys, and everybody needs to be prepared. Don Patokas here in the chat saying, woe be unto the unprepared. Hurricane Heather says, she would suggest getting inland if you're on the East Coast. I can't much more agree. You need to go far inland to get away from the storm surge and the heavy rainfall. Inland is up in the mountain areas of South and North Carolina, up in the Blue Ridge Mountain areas. Okay? Harry Fodder's asking, Ron, I have a question. Is it normal to have a hurricane in one area and a tornado in another? No, it's not necessarily normal. It happens. It happens. Harry says, we had a tornado today, 90 miles per hour, Buffalo, New York. Really not a tornado area, I agree. Let me take these photos down here, and we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. Now, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. let me explain what's going on. I even have another slide. Let me bring up another slide. It's important. I'll show you how that's going to work. Right here. Okay? We are expecting tornadoes over in the Midwestern area. Over in southern Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota, Wisconsin, over into Illinois and Indiana, around the Great Lakes, guys, you will see tornadoes. Over to the east, over there in that yellow area, Western New York, Buffalo, New York, you probably are going to expect at least 1 or 2 more tornadoes. Harry, that's exactly right. 1 or 2 more tornadoes there in Western New York. Expect it. And those tornado areas are going to go further north into Vermont, Delaware, and Maine. That storm system that you see here, dumping rain in the light green and dark green areas and yellow tornado areas, will continue to go eastward and north. Now, look at the southeastern part here. Look at northern Florida, eastern Georgia, and up into South Carolina. You can expect these areas to also have tornadoes. You're going to expect to have these areas with tornadoes. Expect it. Now, Wednesday into Thursday, and possibly even later on Friday into the weekend, North Carolina and Virginia may also be expecting these tornadoes. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. Okay? Hurricane Heather says when you have low pressure systems between 2 high pressure systems, you're going to get tornadoes, and Heather is absolutely right. She is the expert on this. Dawn says here in the chat, that's why Homie doesn't live there anymore. No more. Harry Fodder says, wow. Now, I'm not a meteorologist. I am not a meteorologist. If you want more information about the storms and everything, the best place you can go is over to Ryan Hollyall. Ryan Hollyall is here on YouTube. He's an expert on storm forecasting. In fact, I would put him better than any meteorologist at any TV station anywhere around. He's the best. And I know he's on the air. He's always on the air. But folks, what you are seeing here is going to continue. We're going to see tornado activity up the eastern side, eastern corridor of the U.S., eastern shoreline. You can almost count on it. As this storm moves north, you can count on it happening. It's not stopping. It's not stopping. Kathy Payen is here from Hawaii. Aloha, Kathy. Mahalo. We appreciate you here. Ryan Hall is awesome. I can't say enough about that man. Ryan Hall is awesome. But rainfall amounts are a different thing. 6 to 18 inches in pockets of central northern Florida up through Georgia, South and North Carolina through Saturday morning. Debby is expected to move through Georgia and South Carolina after leaving Florida, and it's already at the state line of Florida and Georgia now. Areas in those states could receive an additional 10 inches of rain. Areas of these states will receive at least 10 inches more of rain, up to a record of 30 inches through Friday morning. 30 inches of rain through Friday morning. Incredible, guys. Heather says max velocity is better. Now, I watched the max velocity weather report, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back on tonight. He probably will be back on tomorrow unless something big happens. But yes, max velocity is probably equally as good. Anyway, now that Hurricane Debby has made landfall, the most important thing you can do is to protect yourself and protect your family and those that you love. Do not go out into the storm. I repeat, do not go out into the storm. Do not drive on the roads, particularly when and where there is flooding. Stay off the streets. Governor DeSantis made that point very much clear. Stay off the roads. Governor DeSantis says, quote, "We have had some traffic mishaps over the last 12 hours. And when you have flood situations, that is the number one way where we will see fatalities." Governor DeSantis also said they have 17,000 linemen, 17,000 electrical linemen that are ready to restore power, and over 143,000 people are still without power. Now, that's happened. It's already happened. The linemen are out restoring power. The Florida National Guard is also deployed for search and rescue missions and humanitarian assistance as well. Several roadways in Sarasota are underwater, and they have closed the roadways and the highways in that area as the city has been lashed with heavy rain bans since early this morning. Sarasota police said in a statement that additional officers have been deployed in and with the localized flooding, and amid a flash flood warning as well. Do not go out onto the roadways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Local authorities and police urge locals to avoid driving and warn, do not bypass barricades. If you have to be out, do not bypass barricades. Why? Because when you do that, guys, you're risking your life. Water can undermine the roadway and sweep the roadway completely out of there. And if you go through that area and there's no more roadway, you could end up ditching your car. Doesn't matter whether it's a four-wheel drive or not, you're going to ditch your car in the middle of a hole in a roadway covered by water. You're risking your life. You're risking your life and the life of your family. Don't go out. Do not go out. Up to 11 inches of rain have already fallen in parts of Pinellas County on the west central coast of Florida as Debby is reared up through the state. The outer bands of that hurricane have been rotating. The outer bands of the hurricane have been rotating. The outer bands have been carrying rain and heavy winds and thunderstorms. Okay? Don't be stupid enough to think that the only place that there's going to be rain is the eye of the storm. That's not true. The eye of the storm is where there's a eye wall. And inside that eye wall there's peace and plenty for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, as that eye wall passes you, all of a sudden you're going to get hit again. And the winds and the rain are going to come from an opposite direction. You're not going to be ready for that. I guarantee you, you will not be ready for that. It will astound you. It might confuse you. That's why you need to stay in your homes. You need to stay in your homes. The state and the county's Department of Emergency Management is very adamant about what we're saying here. I've been asked by the state of Florida Emergency Management Department to emphasize this. Stay in your home. Stay in your home, stay in your home, stay in your home. And more rain bands are on their way. More rain bands from the storm are on their way. Even though the eye of the storm is over in North Florida and southern Georgia, there are rain bands still in Florida, Georgia, and up into South Carolina. You're going to get these rain bands. You're going to get heavy-duty rains and possibly thunderstorms and tornadoes. That means these areas are like going through a clock. As the clock moves, there's going to be more and more rainfall. As the clock moves, there's going to be more and more rainfall. Okay? There's going to be more than a foot of rain in the next 24 to 48 hours, depending on where you're at. You need to be ready for this. Again, you need to be prepared. We've been talking about having an emergency preparedness kit for a very long time. And I'm talking about that again, and again, and again, and again. Kathy Payan says she doesn't have a smoke quartz ball either. I don't either. S. Nort sent me this a long time ago. It's Ron's crystal ball. Notice it's not crystal at all. It doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me a darn thing. Folks, don't trust crystal balls. Don't trust anything like this. What I'm trying to do is give you the information you need according to you wanting to live. Stay informed. Stay informed. We are going to be on the air telling you what's going on. We will be on the air telling you what's going on. If anything changes, we will be on the air. Like I said, more and more rain bands are going to happen. Flash flood warning was in effect at 8 a.m. this morning as the storm reared its ugly head over in the Bend area, the Big Bend area of Florida. Storm surge is still happening. Just because the eye of the storm has passed over towards northern Florida, the rain bands are still happening. And because of that, there's going to be storm surge. There's probably going to be storm surge over in the Gulf of Mexico area for the next 24 hours. But over on the Atlantic side, there's going to be significant storm surge happening between now and Friday. You all need to be aware of it. You all need to be aware of it. Diane Kelman's here in the chat saying drains get clogged with debris. Absolutely. The drains in the streets and other places will get clogged with debris. And I know that road crews are out here in Morganton because I saw them earlier. Road crews are now trying to clear debris areas where there's sticks and branches that may get clogged around the storm drains. They're already out clearing the storm drains, but be advised, sometimes that just doesn't help. Okay? It doesn't help. I've seen it time and time again. Because we're going to see so much heavy rain, all of a sudden, it's going to force all this debris that's everywhere else around us out into the storm drains, and the storm drains are going to get clogged. That means what we have out in the street is going to be street rivers. Street rivers. Upwards of 10 to 12 inches of rain. Bridges have been shut down in Florida and also in Georgia already. Bridges have been shut down because of water issues and high winds. That's going to continue all week long. Local authorities have been warned and to tell everybody to stay home. And that's what I'm telling you now. Stay home. Please, for your own safety, stay home. Dan Ciarletta from St. Petersburg, Florida, saw a catfish. Yes, he saw a catfish floating in his driveway. Let me show you the picture of that. I was astounded. I was absolutely astounded when I saw this happen. It does happen. Occasionally that does happen. Let me show you this picture. I was literally blown away when I saw this. A catfish floating in his driveway. That is how much water they had in the street. A catfish left his creek or the river and came up into his driveway. Okay? This is wild. It's wild. I've heard of it happening, but this is the first time I've ever seen a picture of it happening. I'm sorry, you guys. There it is right there. The catfish floating in this guy's driveway. It's incredible. Literally incredible. Now, with that said, we're going to see heavy water. Heavy water. Large amounts of water. Are you ready? Are you ready? Or are you too naive to realize what's going to happen? As of 5 p.m. today, the eye wall of Debby is at the Florida-Georgia state line right now. I've been watching it. I've been paying attention to this storm since early this morning. I didn't get much sleep because I was worried about it. There have already been 435 related calls for assistance. Over 435 related calls for assistance, another 400 more this afternoon. This should be expected to continue throughout the rest of this week in other cities and the other states that are going to be hit by this storm. There have been about 450,000 people that have had their power restored. The power crews are working feverishly to restore power. Now, as this storm moves north, the crews will also move north. Just because they are in Florida right now doesn't mean that Georgia, South, and North Carolina will not have people to restore power. They will. These storm crews, these storm linemen will move north with this storm. The linemen were stationed just outside the storm area so they could move into the storm area after the storm went through. That's a protocol. That's a protocol. I've seen it time and time again. When we've done disaster drills from wherever we've been in throughout the United States, we've stationed National Guard troops, we stationed electrical crews and other rescue crews just outside the storm area. That way they're not inundated. That way they have a chance to come in after the storm and start their search and rescue and the re-establishment of power. Okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. In Florida, 480 road miles have been driven by the Highway Patrol. Just today. Inspecting roadways, inspecting bridges as well. Looking for infrastructure issues. Yes, there have been some bridge closures because of high water issues and damage to some bridges themselves. Again, think about this. Please do not cross over down power lines. Please do not cross over down power lines. Just because the power lines are on the ground does not mean that these lines have been de-energized. These power lines may actually be full of power. And if you get anywhere near them, you don't have to step over the top of them. If these power lines are energized and there's a puddle of water anywhere near there or any kind of dampness, the water may carry electricity and you can get zapped. And it will kill you. It will kill you. If you see a down power line, stay completely away from it. Don't get near it. Okay? Do not assume, like I said, that those lines have been de-energized. Stay out of and away from the water anywhere near down power lines. This is where an ultimate disaster is waiting to happen. Because nobody's going to rescue you when there's an energized power line and you've been stupid enough to step into the water. Nobody's going to recognize anything that's in the water until those power lines have been de-energized. And then, and only then, are power or any kind of crews going to go in and try to rescue you. And by then it's going to be too late. By then it will be too late. I'm just saying, I've been there, done that. I should have written a book a long time ago about it. Been there, done that. Now, there's a lot of other things I want to talk about. Do not go out disaster sightseeing. Do not go out disaster sightseeing. This can only lead you to you and your family being swamped in high water and you calling for rescue crews to try to come out and reach you to rescue you. Those rescue crews are already putting their lives on the line rescuing people. Don't go out in the storm and expect them to come find you. You might have your cell phone area cut off where you will not be able to find anybody to help you. And then you'll be liable to go out in the water yourself, and that could kill you. Don't do it. Stay off the roads. Stay off the roads. Don't call after you've been out on the roads and you shouldn't have, and the rescue crews have to go out and try to save you. They're already putting their lives on the line for everybody. Don't you add to it, please. These crews are working overtime trying to rescue people from out of their homes and out of their cars where they shouldn't have been. Okay? Please, guys, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Now, I want to tell you this as well. I want you to remember this. 6 inches of water can knock someone over off their feet. 6 inches of flowing water can knock you off your feet. And then the water will be flowing down the roadway or down some other gully or wash and will knock you off your feet, and then you will be drowned in the flowing water. 6 inches of water will float you down the street like nothing else. 12 inches of water. 4.5 earthquake in the Marianas 5 minutes ago. 12 inches of water will float your car. 12 inches of water will float your SUV. Don't take the chance on driving through any high water. Either the road could be undermined, like I said, from the water, or completely washed away. And your car will be a sinking paperweight. Your car will be a sinking paperweight. Don't take the chance on the lives of yourself or your family. Stay out of the water. Stay at your homes. Stay at your homes until your authorities in your area say it's safe. Say it's safe. Well, I can't talk tonight. Stay in your homes until the authorities in your area say it is safe to go out. Please be patient. Please be patient. Damage assessment crews will be starting their work tomorrow. Damage assessment crews from the cities and the states will be starting their assessments tomorrow. Insurance crews will also be sending out their damage assessment teams. Wait for them. Wait for them. Just don't call them because you can. Don't just call them because you can. It's not fair. The assessment teams will get to you. If they don't get to you within 48 hours or so, then put out the call. But they will be starting their damage assessments sometime tomorrow morning as this storm moves and heads north. Okay? Diane Kelman says it's not fair to the police, the firemen, or the EMTs or paramedics. If you don't heed Ron's warnings and do something stupid, you'll be held liable. And yes, you could also be arrested. If they had put out a warning for people to stay home, if you're out in the storm, you could be arrested. Because you're putting the lives on the line of rescuers and the police. Don't do it. Please don't do it. 23 Angel Sci-Fi says, I live with Murphy's Law every day. Most of us do. Be safe, guys. Don't chance it. Please don't chance it. Don Patoka says he is related to Murphy. Some of us have. Renee Steffi is also saying obey any evacuation orders. It doesn't matter whether there's a fire or a hurricane. If the authorities issue you an evacuation order, you need to follow it. This is absolutely mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. If there is an evacuation order, you need to follow it. And I have said this before and I'll say it again. Don't wait for an evacuation order to be given. Do not wait for an evacuation order to be given. Because if it's an evacuation order given, that means the danger is already there. And you're going to be out with about 500 other motorists trying to get to an evacuation area. Trying to get out of your area to an evacuation area. You're going to be out with all those other people and you're going to run out of gas because, of course, you did not fill up your car with gas before any of this happened. Make sure when we have a storm like this or any other kind of emergency, make sure your car's always filled up with gas, just in case you have to evacuate. Okay? Like I said, the damage assessment crews will be going out in the morning, and it will take many days for them to complete their mission. Okay? Be patient. Those crews are going to be working very hard. I have friends of mine that will be part of those crews. Please be patient with them. Be nice. Be nice. Just because you have a problem doesn't mean that you're going to be their problem. Don't be their problem because they'll walk away. They will walk away and go someplace else where they're not going to have a problem. Okay? I've seen it happen. My friends are going to be out there doing damage assessments, I promise you. Now, there is rain coming down. And where there's rain coming down, there's going to be rivers and creeks flowing. From Georgia, they're going to be flowing from Georgia into Florida. South Carolina into Georgia. North Carolina into South Carolina into Georgia. The creeks and rivers are going to be flowing over their banks. There's going to be flooding, extreme flooding. Make sure you are flexible enough to get out before it happens in your area. Don't wait until your home is flooded and you can't do anything about it. Make sure your pets are squared away. Make sure your children are squared away. Make sure you have emergency preparedness kits for your kids, your pets, and yourselves. Make sure you have blankets and toys for your pets and their food. Make sure you have plenty of food and water for both you, your kids, and your pets. In my case, I call my pets my kids because they act like it. Those are my kids. They depend on me and I depend on them. They give me all kinds of love, whether I want it or not. But they depend on us as well. So take care of them. Give them love. They may get upset about what's going on. They may not understand. Give them more love. They're just like human kids. Give them love. Whether our babies or young children don't understand doesn't mean we're going to ignore them. Don't ignore your pets either. Okay? Again, there's going to be rivers and creeks overflowing their banks. There's going to be water flooding down our roadways. Get prepared. This storm is going to continue to move north along the eastern coastline for the rest of the week, into even next week. You need to be prepared. You need to be very prepared. Again, Hurricane Debby is going to move out into the Atlantic Ocean for a short while. It will possibly make landfall, like I said again, over in North South Carolina or southern North Carolina. That's where it's going to happen. I can guarantee you that's where it's going to happen. We've seen it happen before. It's going to happen again. Now, will you be ready? I hope you will. I really hope you will. We've seen this happen time and time again. I'm on the air to help you. I'm here on the air to help you. Now, if you are not paying attention, I can't help you, can I? If you're not paying attention, I can't help you. So please pay attention to what I'm talking about. Your survival is paramount. Your survival is paramount. I do want to help you. I do want to help you. But the only way I can help you is if you let me. If you have questions about anything, email me. I will answer your questions either through email or on the air. Okay? If I think it's imperative for everybody to hear it, I'll answer your questions on the air. Your actions are imperative to saving your life. Swift action is imperative, Don says here in the chat. The cornerstone of effective disaster preparedness is communication, coordination, continuity, and collaboration. Collaboration. Many agencies have to work together, whether it's police, fire, paramedics, or any other organization. Collaboration and coordination is absolutely paramount. I've been there, done that. I've seen what happens when this happens. I've seen it happen. I'd rather not, actually. I'd rather not see it happen, because the results of that are very bad. They are very, very bad. Sorry about that. For some reason, my map here got foobarred. Okay? Like I said, this storm is going to make a second landfall. It's going to leave Georgia and go back out into the Atlantic, where it will have a chance to strike it again. The second landfall is going to be over in northeastern South Carolina or southeastern North Carolina. You can count on it. Look at these storm centers. Look at these outer bands of the storm. The orange and yellow, the red. These are thunderstorms that you need to be aware of. The thunderstorms are going to throw out tornadoes. Tornadoes, severe storms. Things are going to be very dangerous. Things are going to get very dangerous. Diane Kelman's here in the chat saying, don't be your time here be in vain. Don't let your time here be in vain. Use the time here to educate yourselves and your family so you don't panic. That's why I have always been of the mindset to bring your family and let everybody partake in our classes here. Yes, this is a class. This is a class on survival. The classes here I have here anytime after 6 p.m. Monday through Friday are for survival instinct. I give you all kinds of information to help you. Please help yourselves. I'm here for you. I've always been here for you. I've been on the air now over 5.5 years. 5.5 years. It was 5 years April 3rd. So now we're through April, May, June, July, and August. About 5.5 years. I've been here for you, and I'm going to be here for you. Plain and simple. Rob52 just put up our email address. He also put up our mailing address. Let me review that information with you. Our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Our mailing address, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code is 28655. It's been 4 weeks since we've received any kind of mail. 4 weeks since we've seen a letter. 4 weeks since we've even seen a card sent to us. Yes, occasionally we do get donations through the mail. But I have, in the past 5.5 years, never went this long without any kind of mail. I've never gone this long. If this continues, come September, October, I will let this email or this post office box go away. It takes money to keep a post office box open. It takes money to put the show on the air. When I first started this 5.5 years ago, I didn't believe that. I didn't understand that. But over the last 5.5 years, I've understood one thing. It takes a good Wi-Fi signal. In order for me to have a Wi-Fi signal, I have to pay for it. Bandwidth through my internet supplier. It costs me $240 a month for that bandwidth. $240 for that bandwidth to put the show on the air. I would ask all of you to please search in your soul and see if you can help us keep this show on the air. I am just about grasping at the last straw, literally. I don't like to beg. I don't even like to talk about money. But folks, it costs money to keep this program on the air. And Carol and I don't spend that money unwisely. We don't. We make sure the bills are paid so we can keep this show on the air. Carol believes in what we're doing. My sweet wife believes in what we're doing, and many of you have either met my wife or you know her from being here on the chat, or you've seen her coming up in the background of our show. She cares about you. We talk about many of you personally because we love you. We care about you. So folks, understand that. Understand that. We love you. That's why we're here. Now, Rob just put up our PayPal addresses as well. You can donate to our PayPal addresses. Okay? Those PayPal addresses are basically free to donate to. And we get the money. In fact, we get the money quicker through PayPal than we do our Super Chats here. Plus, YouTube takes 40% of the money. Sometimes they take up to 60% of the money, and I only get 50 or 40%. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you joining here as members of our program. Nico just joined EMA 1. We appreciate that. We very much appreciate that. I think on Wednesday we will have our first members-only meeting. I would love to see 30 or 40 people at least in our members-only meeting, because our members make this what it is. Our members give monthly donations to us as little as $1.99 a month. Our second level is $2.99. Our third level is $3.99. Some channels take their donations up to $50 for their top level. I haven't done that for a reason, because I want you all to become members. I want you all to help support us. So I've kept those membership fees down. Kathy Payne says she'll send us some next Wednesday if she remembers. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you. Kathy's been a long-time friend of our program, and I care about her. She comes on this program from Hawaii. From Hawaii. It's still morning in Hawaii. She's a great lady. I appreciate all of you. Nico says they found this channel just 2 months ago. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate you here. Really do. It means the world to me and my wife. We love you guys. We pray for you. Carol and I pray for you. Sometimes we pray individually for individuals here. That's because we care. Brothers and sisters here, I have heard my wife praying for individuals here because she loves you. She cares about you. If she sees any of you are having issues, she prays for you. I have heard her make mention of your names. We love you. Diane Kelly says, Ron's like a daddy to all of us. A daddy or your best friend or your son or daughter or your brother. I love you guys. I do. I do. Texas Lady's here. Thank you, Texas Lady, for being here. Texas Lady is also a longtime friend of mine. I appreciate her being here. Now, let's go back here to the storm we're talking about here. Again, this storm is not over. We do not think this storm will be over through the end of the week, or at least until the end of the week, even Saturday. But this storm will continue north. It may affect Virginia. In fact, I know it's going to affect Virginia. It's going to affect New York. It's going to affect New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts and points north. You guys all need to prepare. You guys all need to prepare, please. I'm not going to beg you, but I'm challenging you to prepare, whatever it takes. Okay? Like I said just a minute ago, I showed you on that map. The storm is going out into the Atlantic. It'll make a second landfall in northeastern South Carolina or southeastern North Carolina. Okay? That's going to happen Wednesday into Thursday this week. It's going to bring heavy rain and moderate winds into the end of the week. Moderate winds anywhere from 35 to 45 miles per hour. We're also going to see up to 10 inches of rain, swollen rivers and streams, and widespread flooding. Tornado watches are out, as well as thunderstorm warnings and thunderstorm watches. Those watches and warnings are being posted even as we speak. Now, I've been asked to pass on numbers of people, well, not people, but numbers of organizations that will help you in Florida. For those of you that are having issues in Florida, there is a Florida Emergency Resource number. That number is 1-800-342-3057. 1-800-342-3057. That's an emergency resource number in Florida. Also, if you have an emergency crisis in Florida, that crisis line is 800-452-1954. The emergency crisis line in Florida is 800-452-1954. Does anyone have any questions about anything? I know I've covered things really fast tonight. I know I've covered things very fast because I wanted to get the information out and I wanted to make sure we had the information for you. I've been gathering information literally since way early this morning. I've been watching it. I've been praying for all of you. I've been praying for those people that have lost their life in Florida. 4 people have succumbed to injuries and death from Hurricane Debby. Okay? And this is just a small storm. We expect to have at least 12 more storms similar or very stronger sometime between now and November. This is just a start. This is really just a start to what's happening. Diane Kelly says she's been working on one for a few months now. That's great. I would hope that's the case. I've been working with you for a long time. Working with all of you for a very long time. There's a reason. Because I believe in you. There's a very good reason because I believe in you. Now, I've been on the air nearly 5.5 years. For all intents and purposes, it's been 5.5 years. I've been here because I believe in what we're doing. I believe in giving you the information you need so you can prepare. That's why we're here. That's really why we're here. Now, let my ugly mug go away here, and I'm going to take down our banner. We're going to talk about earthquakes for a few minutes. Over here on the eastern part of the United States. And guys, this is important. This is very, very important. Okay, I wouldn't put this stuff up if it wasn't. It's very important. Over here in the Eastern Continental Divide area, this is Sevierville, Tennessee. Sevierville, Tennessee here, guys. This is a 2.5 minor earthquake. It's on the Continental Divide. The Eastern Continental Divide starts down further south in Georgia, and it goes all the way up the Eastern Continental Divide, all the way up into Canada. We have earthquakes. The other day I showed you earthquakes over in Canada, on the eastern and the western side of Canada. This is just here. This week I'm going to talk about earthquakes on the East Coast. This is not the only one. This is by far not the only one. Usually here in Tennessee, we see 2.5 and 3.5 earthquakes. 2.5 and 3.5 earthquakes all the time. This is just a minor quake here. Just a minor quake. Going over to Hennessy, Oklahoma here. Hennessy, Oklahoma here. This is a 1.5 tremor. Let's go down here into Texas. This is Hermleigh, Texas. Just a week and a half ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake here. A 5.1 earthquake. Well, guess what? I found out that USGS lied about it, and they downgraded it to 4.9. That earthquake was actually a 5.5, very dangerous, large earthquake. They downgraded it. They tried to downplay it. There was damage from that earthquake. Large earthquakes can cause a large amount of damage, as that earthquake did. Today, this is a 2.1 minor aftershock from that 5.5 earthquake last week. These aftershocks will be continuing here near in and around Hermleigh, Texas for a very long time. When we get an earthquake like we had there, 5.5, we see aftershocks for weeks and months afterwards. That's what's going on. Over here in southwestern Texas, we have been seeing swarms of earthquakes here for several years now. Swarms of earthquakes here in southwestern Texas for years. This earthquake here is a 1.7 tremor. Just south of there. This is, they say White City, New Mexico, but it's not. It's Toyah, Texas. Toyah, Texas. You're already, I've enlarged this map to show you what is happening. There is oil and gas fracking operations all over this area. That's why we are having earthquakes. Seismic energy finds these man-made earthquake faults and fractures the rock inside the fault line, inside the hole that man has dug to pull gas and oil out of the earth. This is a 2.2 earthquake here. This is a 2.0. This is a 3.1. 3.0 to 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. This is a 3.1 small earthquakes. Further out here to the east, this is a 2.1 Toyah, Texas again. We can go over here further to the west. This is a 1.6. You can also see these oil and gas pumping platforms out here. Anytime there is an earthquake within 6 to 10 miles away from that oil and gas pumping operation, it's considered to be a fracking earthquake. A fracking earthquake. Okay? This is a 1.6, a tremor. Also oil and gas fracking originated. Over here, this is a 2.0. This earthquake is actually in New Mexico. This is the only earthquake here in New Mexico at all. Okay? Rob52 says he's going to his Bible study. That's awesome. Thank you for being here, Rob. I love you and appreciate you. Rob tried to call me earlier, and I was on my phone with my daughter. Otherwise, I would have taken his call. God bless you, Rob. Much love, brother. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all of you. Rob has been a mod of mine for probably close to a year. I have a lot of wonderful friends here, a lot of wonderful brothers and sisters who I love and appreciate. Okay? Now, Kathy Payne is here in the chat. Near to here, Rob, always stay close to studying, but know that this scripture can mean one thing in your life and another later in line as well. Then you can read God's word to you, and I think she meant never find it again. That's true. Sometimes we lose track of scriptures. I mark my scriptures. And I also write a reference to it on paper so I know where the scripture is. I always do that. Anyway, those are the earthquake swarms in southwestern Texas and over into southern New Mexico. That's happening every day. These earthquakes happen every day. Over here in Baja, California, this is a 2.8 near Alberto Oviedo Mota, Baja, California. That's happened. Let's look over here in Imperial Valley, California. Imperial Valley is the southernmost county in California, right next to the Mexico-U.S. border. We have a red earthquake. Red earthquakes mean it just happened. The earthquake just happened. This is a 1.8 tremor here in Imperial, California. There is a town called Imperial, California. But look what we're having here. It's just not one earthquake. It's a swarm. It's a swarm. That is 1.8. This is a 1.6. This is a 1.7. This red one is a 1.8, like I said. This is a 2.0 earthquake here, minor earthquake. Right next to it, a 1.5 tremor. Down here to the south and west, this is a 1.7. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 1.5 tremor. This is also 1.5 tremor. Again, this is near the town of Imperial, California. Imperial, California, guys, I want to tell you this so you remember, Imperial, California has about 30 earthquakes every day. 30 earthquakes every day. This is just a drop in the bucket. This is a drop in the bucket. Up to the north of Imperial, Brawley, California. Good old Brawley, California. This is a 1.4 tremor in Brawley, or near Brawley, California. Now, all over this Imperial Valley, from the southeast point of the Salton Sea down here to the southwest and all the way to the Mexican border. There are over 500 earthquakes here every day. 500 earthquakes here every day. USGS doesn't even come close to talking about it. They never will, never do. They don't want people to know what's going on. They don't publish it. That's why occasionally I will show you seismograms what's going on. The seismogram is just a graph that the seismograph itself puts out. It puts out data, hard data, showing you the actual earthquakes happening. They're not going to put them on the map because they don't want anybody to know what happened. Over here, to the north, this is just southeast of Salton City. Salton City is over here, right up here. This is Salton City. Salton City is a ghost town. Salton City is a ghost town over here on the outer edge of the Salton Sea here. This earthquake I'm showing you here is a 1.5 tremor. A 1.5 tremor. This is a 0.9 microquake. This is southwest of Salton City. Okay? Further west, okay? Right here. This is in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains. The foothills of the Chocolate Mountains, this is a 0.9, 1.0 tremor. This earthquake is a 1.5 tremor here. Again, this is Ocotillo Wells. Ocotillo Wells. Further over here, these are the Chocolate Mountains here. This whole area is the Chocolate Mountains. If you watched Top Gun back in the 80s, the jets, including Tom Cruise, flew high over the Chocolate Mountains here, and you saw the vistas from the cockpits of the planes, the Chocolate Mountains. They flew over the desert area here around the Salton Sea. Okay? Further northwest, Palomar Observatory, guys. Palomar Observatory. Well, guess what this is? I talked about this earlier. Palomar Observatory is a mountain with a astronomical observatory on it, 7,000 feet plus high, about 7,100, 7,200 feet high. This is a 0.3 microquake on Palomar Mountain. To the north of there, this is part of the Anza-Borrego Desert area here. You see a red earthquake here. This red earthquake is on the San Jacinto Fault. It's on the San Jacinto Fault. This earthquake, I believe, is a 2.0 earthquake. It's a 2.0 earthquake, guys. Right on the San Jacinto Fault. This is Borrego Springs, California. We talk about the Anza-Borrego Desert. That's where all these earthquakes are, right here in the Anza-Borrego Desert area here. Okay? This is a 1.6. Further north up here is Idlewild, California. This is over on the western side of the San Bernardino Mountains. Idlewild, California is a wonderful area. They ought to pay me for talking about it. I give them commercials all the time. Idlewild, California is a small town. It's a tourist trap. They have A-frame cabins for you to rent right now in the summertime so you can go hiking. In the wintertime, it's a skier's paradise. You can ski all over the the Idlewild Mountains in the San Bernardino Mountain area. Okay, all over here. Idlewild is a great place. Restaurants and little knick-knack shops, curio shops, and everything are there. You can have a great time there. You can spend an entire day in the town of Idlewild and you won't see everything. Idlewild is a great place. Go there and rent a cabin there. Go there and rent a A-frame cabin. They're not going to have TVs there. They may have, in fact, I know they have AM/FM radios. But Idlewild is a great place. We're going to see a lot of earthquakes in this area. This is a 0.6. This red earthquake is a 0.8 microquakes. This is a 0.5, 4 kilometers, 2 miles south of Idlewild here. This is 4 kilometers southwest of Idlewild. This is a 0.7 microquake here. 4 kilometers is 2 miles southwest of Idlewild. Again, Idlewild is a great place to visit. Over here, I just love this. Lake Elsinore, California. This is a 1.3 tremor here in Lake Elsinore, California. Orange County, California. Orange County, California, guys. Unreal. Let's go up in the mountains again, up here. San Gregorio, Hammock, California. Beaumont, California. This is a 0.8 microquake as well. Just north of there, we also have another one. If I can bring it up here. If people will allow me to bring it up. There's 4 of them here. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 0.8 microquake. And further south, this is Beaumont, California. This is a San Andreas Fault here. This area is a San Andreas Fault. Okay? A lot of earthquakes here. Going further north, Colton, California. We're getting swarms of earthquakes here in Colton. Swarms of earthquakes. This is a 0.8 microquake here. This is a 0.7 here. Colton, California. Folks, you can count on having earthquakes in this area. There are earthquakes all over the Los Angeles area here. They're not showing. They never will, never do. Earthquakes all over this area. All over. There are earthquakes, minor earthquakes, there are small earthquakes, and there are even 4.5 moderate earthquakes here in LA. They're not going to show you that. They're not going to tell you that. They're hiding the information. Further north here, this is in the mountain areas, Pear Blossom, California, right next to the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.2 tremor. A 1.2 tremor here in Southern California. Okay, there are other earthquakes here as well. I'm not going to show all of them to you right now. Ridgecrest, California, right here. This is a 1.4 tremor. 1.4 tremor. Little Lake, California here, 1.7. This whole area, guys, the Mojave Desert, has earthquakes. This is Cozo Junction. Cozo Volcanic Field. Cozo Volcanic Field. This is a 1.3 tremor. This is a 2.1 earthquake. This is a volcanic field here. We talked about this before. We're going to always talk about it again and again and again. There's a reason for it. Going over here to the San Andreas Fault, Northern California. Parkfield, California. Parkfield, California is the earthquake capital, not just of California, but of the entire world. More earthquakes happen here in Parkfield than any other place in the world. This is a 1.6 tremor here in Parkfield. It's on the San Andreas Fault. On the San Andreas Fault. Further north here, just southwest of Monterey Bay. Tres Pinos, California. This is a 1.5 in Tres Pinos, California. Monterey Bay, let's look at this. This is right next to Santa Cruz, California. This is a 2.2 earthquake. A 2.2 earthquake here in Monterey Bay. Okay? North, let's go over here to the Hayward Fault. On the southeast side of the bay. 1.0 tremor here. North of there, also on the Hayward. This is a 1.4 in Fairview, California. Let's go further north, just east of the Hayward here. East of the Hayward. This is on the Green Valley Fault. The Green Valley Fault. Benicia, California. Benicia, California. This is a 2.1 earthquake. A minor 2.1 earthquake on the northeastern side of the San Francisco Bay Area. To the north of there, this is right next to the San Andreas Fault here. This is Cotati, California. C-O-T-A-T-I, California. A 1.6 tremor. Further up here, Larkfield, California. Wickiup, California. This is a 1.1. Then you see a lot of earthquakes here. This is standard procedure. Every day we have a large number of earthquakes. This is Sonoma County, California. Sonoma County, California. What do we have here? We have a great big huge thermal facility. A geothermal facility. Why? Because men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to the north. This is a Clear Lake volcano. The Clear Lake volcano. Folks, man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to harvest steam from the volcano to power turbines here in Sonoma County. We get earthquakes here every day. 20 to 30 earthquakes here every day. This is nothing new here. This is a 0.5 microquake. This is a 1.2 tremor. This is the geysers. This is the geysers facility. Geysers. The geysers. Okay? This is a 1.1 here. These are mostly tremors, but we still get 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here in the geysers area as well. Again, seismic energy seeks out the man-made drill points, and when the energy hits these drill points, it fractures rock inside the drill points, and we have earth movement. That's why we have earthquakes here. That's why we have earthquakes. Further north, again, this fault line here. This is Ukiah, California. This is over on the Mascama Fault Zone. The Mascama Fault Zone. Okay? This is a 1.4 tremor. We go further north on the same fault. This is Laytonville, California with 1.5 tremor here. How about that? Then we come over here, over to the San Andreas Fault off the coast of Northern California. This is a 1.5 tremor here off the coast of Petrolia, California. A 1.5 tremor right next to the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault starts here and connects with the Cascadia subduction zone right here. This fault zone here running north is called the Cascadia subduction zone. We've talked about this subduction zone many, many times over the past 5.5 years. To the north up here, way up here off the coast of Seattle and Tacoma area. Right up here, either on the Cascadia subduction zone or out here further to the west on the Juan de Fuca Fault. We're going to see a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake happening here probably within the next 5 years. Probably within the next 5 years. They're not showing any earthquakes off the coast here. That's a fallacy. There are plenty of earthquakes here. They're just not showing them. They never will. Rarely do they ever show earthquakes here. But there are earthquakes here. Because we have a great earthquake here. It's coming. It's coming. And it's going to rattle all the way up to Alaska, all the way south to the Mexican border, and all the way east to the East Coast. It's going to rattle the entire continental system, Canada and the United States. It's going to rattle the entire continent. Promise. Promise. Over here in Hawaii, Hawaii is still having earthquakes. This is a 2.1 in Fern Forest. A 2.1 in Fern Forest. What we are going to see here are fissures opening up here. Back in 2019, the same thing happened. The lava that was in Pu'u'o volcano and Kilauea drained out. For several days, the scientists wondered what happened. Several days later, we had fault systems opening up. Great big huge fissures opening up here in the East Rib Zone. Fern Forest here where you see this 2.1 earthquake, and all the way east to the north over here in the Leilani Estate. Great big huge fissures opened up. These white clouds here are lava plumes. Lava plumes, where toxic sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gas came out of the lava that was put out from the fissures that opened up here. Excuse me. Fissures that open up put up these lava plumes, toxic gas. As you can see in the gray areas, the lava poured out onto the landscape. Many of these these fissures that opened up are now named volcanoes. Many of those fissures are named volcanoes. And I believe that's exactly what's going on, and the USGS is now agreeing with me. The USGS is agreeing with me about that. Yes, we are having earthquakes down here in the Pahala area. The Pahala area is like a gas station. There is a huge magma plume down beneath, coming from the center of the earth, down between South America and Tonga, Samoa area. A lava plume coming up from the center of the earth, supplying magma to all the volcanoes around the world. The magma plume is coming up here to Pahala. Pahala is the distribution point for the magma going to all the volcanoes. That's why we are having earthquakes here in Pahala. Offshore here, Loihi. Loihi is an under-sea mount volcano just off the coast of Hawaii here. Loihi, this is a 2.3 earthquake here, a symbol of magma going to the volcanoes. That's what's happening down here in the southern Pahala area. First off, I want to show you the town of Pahala. The town of Pahala is right there. South and east of there, we have a 2.0 minor earthquake there. To the north or south and west of Pahala, we also have a 2.4 earthquake. Like I said, the magma beneath Pahala is funneled to the volcanoes. To Kilauea up here, to Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea here, and over here to Hualalai. Yes, there is a volcano called Hualalai right here. 4 major volcanoes on the Big Island. 4 major volcanoes here on the Big Island. It's moving. Magma is coming here to the Big Island here. Okay? It's coming. Over here, we talked about this earlier when it came over my phone. A 4.5 over here, 4.5 moderate earthquake in the Northern Mariana Islands here. Northern Mariana Islands. Over here, I just love talking about this. Ternate, Indonesia. Ternate, Indonesia. This is a moderate 4.6 earthquake. Over here to the south, south central Indonesia. This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here. Tual, Indonesia. There's one other earthquake over here. This is southwest of another volcano. Southwest of another volcano. Can anybody tell me where this volcano is? It's right here. It's right here. Krakatoa volcano right there. And over here, further to the southwest, we have another earthquake here. This is a 5.1 earthquake, just off the coast of southwestern Sumatra, Indonesia. A large 5.1 earthquake here in the Indian Ocean. Okay? Now, USGS is still not telling us about all the earthquakes. Okay? They're still not. We have earthquakes just off the east central coast of Mindanao, Philippines here. This is the largest island in the Philippines. Last week we had another 7.4 earthquake. We had another 7.4 earthquake here. We are still seeing 3.5s, 4.5 aftershocks. 3.5 and 4.5 aftershocks here today. And again, USGS is not telling us about it. Why? Because they don't want anybody to know what's going on. Folks, this here is one of the largest subduction zones in the world. One of the largest subduction zones in the world. It encompasses Taiwan. It goes down here to Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and Myanmar, Burma. It goes all the way over here into Sumatra, Indonesia. It comes all the way through here in Indonesia and goes over here to Papua New Guinea and Papua Indonesia. It goes all the way over here into Australia. Earthquakes happen here in Australia. Do they show them here? No. That's because USGS is being told not to show them. Earthquakes there. Yesterday we had a 4.5 earthquake down here in New Zealand. A 4.5 earthquake just off the coast of the North Island here in New Zealand. What you probably don't know is this area is also part of the subduction zone. And scientists are expecting an 8.0 earthquake to happen here sometime in the next 15 to 20 years. An 8.0 earthquake to happen here off the east coast of the North Island of New Zealand. Yes, there are earthquakes here on the North Island, earthquakes north of the North Island, and even earthquakes further north over here in the Kermadec Islands. They're not showing any earthquakes here in the Kermadec Islands, which is a fallacy. It's a lie. We've had 2 4.7s, 2 4.5s, numerous 3.2 and 3.5s here in the Kermadec Islands today. They're not showing any. What a joke. What a stupid joke. We've had earthquakes over here in Tonga. We've had earthquakes here in the Fiji area. They're not showing any of them. What a joke. What a frickin' joke. Why? Why are they not telling us what's going on? They never will. They're showing 2 earthquakes over here in northern Chile. This is a 4.0 near Camina, Chile. Up here to the north, this is a 4.5 here. This is in southern Peru at the Chilean border. A 4.5 here, and down here we have a 4.0. This is 93, actually this is 96 kilometers deep. This is 169 kilometers deep. Still two very shallow earthquakes. These are not the only earthquakes here. There are about 36 earthquakes here in South America along the coast of Chile, Argentina, Peru, going up here into Ecuador, and also up in here into Colombia. 36 earthquakes. Why are they not showing them? Because they're too stupid to show them. And yes, I'm sticking with that. Too stupid to show them. Up here, I just want you to see this. This is southern Mexico near the Guatemala border. This is a large 5.4 earthquake. A large 5.4 earthquake. And yes, there are aftershocks. Aftershocks that they're not even showing us. This is northwest of Francisco Madero, Mexico. Francisco Madero, Mexico, a 5.4 earthquake. Over here, off the coast of Guatemala, this is a 4.8 earthquake. This is on the Cocos Plate. The Cocos Plate. Now, given this 5.4 earthquake in southern Mexico, guess what? Guess what? When we see a large earthquake in southern Mexico, guess what it's going to do? The next thing we're going to see within the next 2 to 3 days, we're going to see a large earthquake here in Southern California. Promise you. Promise you. There will be a large earthquake here in Southern California within the next 2 or 3 days after this earthquake here in Southern Mexico. It always happens. It always happens. The last time it happened, I called it, and it happened within 24 hours after the earthquake hit here. It was a lot stronger than this. Okay, does anybody have any questions for me? Does anyone have any questions for me? I know I've gone around the world, I've shown you everything that I need to show you here, but I wanted to make sure you had this here. I wanted to make sure you had this here. Rebecca's here. We appreciate Rebecca being here. Heidi Petrick is here. One of my best friends here. Becky's here. Becky says, hi, Ron. Renee Stebby's here. My dear friend Demon Catman from the east of England's here. We got a lot of people here. My buddy Don Patoka from Salt Lake City. Don and I are very, very, very close friends. Thank you for being here, Don. I appreciate you so much. Do you guys have any questions for me? We talked about hurricane down in southeastern United States. We talked about earthquakes around the world. Becky's saying, not drowning yet. The optimum word is yet. Yet. Iceland. Renee Seppi's talking about Iceland here. Yes, we have earthquakes in Iceland. We still do not have a volcanic eruption in Iceland. Let's put up the earthquake map again here. USGS map here. And let's go to Iceland. Let's go take a look at Iceland. Okay? Iceland's way up here. We have earthquakes here. We always have earthquakes here. USGS still does not show it what's going on. Let's go over here to the Reykjanes Peninsula. The Reykjanes Peninsula is where we have a lot of earthquakes. And yes, there are earthquakes here. Over here, this is Grindavik, Iceland. Grindavik, Iceland started having earthquakes here even 3 years ago. Now, they've had volcanic activity just north and west of Grindavik. The volcanic activity started way down here to the southern part of the Reykjanes Peninsula. The volcanic activity started here. The volcanic activity opened up a huge fissure here. Now it's a huge crater and the fissure is still moving. The fissure is still moving. Lava is flowing out onto the landscape here. Lava first covered several valleys here. As the lava was ejected from the fissure and the cone started building there, lava covered 2 valleys here. At first, the nearest highway was over 2 miles away from where the lava was erupting, and we had spectators that hiked in 2 miles into the volcanic area to see the fissure open up, spewing lava into the landscape. This is where it started. Then, gradually, over the past 2.5 years, the lava started going further north here. NCWQ just gave us another $2 super chat. Becky, thank you so much. God bless you. I just gave you a EMA sticker, and I gave you a thumbs up for that. Thank you so much, Becky. We appreciate that so much. God bless you. Anyway, getting back here to Greenvik. About last November here in Greenvik, great big huge fissures opened up all over here in Greenvik, opening up wide in the streets, opening up fissures wide into the streets. At the time I showed you pictures of the fissures that opened up here. It was huge. Earthquakes were hitting here as well. At first, scientists thought a volcanic eruption was going to occur here in Greenland. It has not. In Greenvik, there has been volcanic eruptions to the north and west, up here to the north and west of Greenvik. They have had lava that left those fissures over here to the north and west. Lava has flowed over the landscape and flowed south and east over here to the borders of Greenvik. At one point in time last November, the lava flowed all the way down here to Greenvik, and it burned down 3 homes. It burned down 3 homes right in this area right here, completely destroying those homes. Since then, the authorities have now built an earthen wall, 90 foot high around Greenvik. 90 foot high around the entire town of Greenvik. Also over here to the east side of Greenvik here, the northeast side of Greenvik. Great big huge earthen wall to prevent lava from coming in Greenvik. Now, given that, when the lava came into Greenvik and burned those homes down, there were actually 2 lava fields, 2 different fissures that opened up. One of the fissures provided lava over here to Greenvik. The other one rested out here, out in the open fields. Since then, there have been 4 other eruptions out here, right up in this area here. 4 other eruptions. Great big huge fissure eruptions. Several of the fissures have been up to 3.5 kilometers long. 3.5 kilometers long. Huge fissures. Huge fissures. Over time, over a short period of time, however, the fissures started shriveling up. And instead of fissures, great big huge volcanic cones started coming out. Actually, those cones are now volcanoes. The last cone finally dried up and stopped erupting about 2 months ago. Now, scientists are saying that now the ground is still moving. They are saying the ground is moving over where the Svartsengi power plant is. The Svartsengi power plant is over here. The Svartsengi power plant is right here. Out to the west of the Svartsengi power plant is what? The Blue Lagoon Spa. The Blue Lagoon Spa has been open for a while now, ever since right before the lava stopped erupting out of the last crater, because the prevailing winds were not carrying the sulfur dioxide and the carbon dioxide fumes over here to the spa. So the spa has been open this entire time. The power plant here, they have made this a remote operated power plant, so they can have crews that operate this power plant no matter rain or shine or volcanic eruption. They also built a 90-foot tall wall around the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa. Now, given that, the crews are no longer working at the Schwarzschild power plant, except when they need them, because they can operate the power plant come rain or shine, snow or whatever. But they had to start operating those remotely because of the fumes from the sulfur dioxide coming from the volcanic eruption. Now, given that situation, this area here where you see the Schwarzschild power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa, there's something else going on. There is a great big huge magma reservoir down beneath the Schwarzschild power plant. A great big huge magma reservoir. And it is raising the Schwarzschild power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa up. It's raising it up. The last time it happened, we had a volcanic eruption to the northwest here. Up here to the northwest. It's liable to happen again. It's very liable to happen again. The scientists thought it was going to happen before now. 3 weeks ago, they said at most 3 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from that point in time, that there would be another lava eruption. It has not happened. But it could happen any day, literally any day. Now, there have also been more earthquakes here in Greenvik. The scientists are now saying that those fissures that opened up before may be magma down beneath the city. They don't know for sure, but they said that there may be magma down beneath the city of Greenvik. The city has been basically evacuated for many months now. Back last December, they allowed people in for Christmas. But several days after Christmas, we had another volcanic eruption on the outside of Greenvik. They evacuated Greenvik again. I think they've had people in Greenvik off and on living here for a while now. They may have evacuated them now because the scientists are now saying there may be a volcanic eruption in Greenvik itself. We don't know. We don't know. However, down here in the harbor here has been having earthquakes as well. The scientists have been saying there may be magma down here beneath the harbor, and there may be a volcanic eruption here in the water here just south of Greenvik. We don't know. It remains to be seen. That's what the scientists are saying. Now, this area is a harbor. There's a fish processing plant right here. The boats come out here and offload their fish every day here. They go out early in the morning, they come over here in the evenings and offload their fish to these piers here, and there's fish processing plants here all over here on the coast of Greenvik, and they ship the fish all over Iceland. They ship the fish all over Iceland. Okay? That's what's going on. I thought I'd bring you up to snuff with this since Renee Seppi mentioned it. It's possible it can happen. Okay? Does anybody have any questions still? Diane Kelman says, are we receiving solar? Yes, we are. There's been 2 solar eruptions, 2 X-class flares. 2 X-class flares. Go over to Wages World here on YouTube. I don't put links up to Wages World or Mark Pires' show anymore because YouTube erases the links. However, I put up information about what Mark is talking about on his latest videos. But there is information there, and I urge you all to go over to Mark Wages' show, his latest show here on YouTube, Wages World. It's talking about 2 X-class flares, and the plasma energy from the sun is headed to Earth. It's headed to Earth again. So the Earth is continually being bombarded by these solar flares and coronal mass ejections. I appreciate you reminding me about that. Any other questions here? Demon Catman says, Diane, the sun is now heading into its maximum output in its 11-year cycle. That's very true, Dean. That's very true. Any other questions for me? Kathy Payne says, X class 6. Yes, that's a big deal. That's a huge flare. That's a huge flare. Now we have another earthquake over here in Oklahoma. This is a 2.3 in Dover, Oklahoma. A minor 2.3 over here in Dover, Oklahoma. And guess what we have here? Just off the coast of Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia. This is another 4.0 earthquake. 4.0 earthquake off the northwest coast of Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia. Again, this is in the Cascadia subduction zone area. In the Cascadia subduction zone area, and also here in the Aleutian Island fault zone, just off the coast of the peninsula of Alaska. This is a 3.0 near Chignik, Alaska. 3.0 near 103 kilometers southeast of Chignik, Alaska. Appreciate that. Dustin Kagwick just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. Dustin says, we appreciate your service. Well, I appreciate you helping us out with a super chat. $10 super chat. We really appreciate it. God bless you for that. That means a lot. Any more questions here? Sorry about that. I got allergies here. Kathy's asking, Ron, did that hurricane disappear in the Pacific? No, it's not disappeared. It's north of Florida now, going into Georgia, into the Atlantic Ocean. It's going into the Atlantic Ocean probably starting sometime tomorrow. I appreciate each one of you guys. It's a pleasure to serve you. It's a pleasure to be your friend and your family member. I appreciate everything that you do for our channel and for me and my wife and for each other. It means a great deal to us. Anyway, at the end of our programs, I give you a spiritual thought. I always try to leave you with a thought here. Now, I'm going over to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going over to verses 11, 12, and 13. Okay? In verse 11. Actually, let's go over to verse 10 here. No, 9. Let's start in verse 9. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another the working of miracles. To another prophecy. To another discerning of spirits. To another diverse kinds of tongues. And to another the interpretation of tongues. These are gifts given to each one of us. Those that want them. Those that the Lord wants us to have. Verse 11. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. By one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. We are God's. We all were brought together to be members of God's kingdom. We've been asked to be members of God's kingdom and to find Christ in our lives and to follow the commandments of Jesus Christ. God's commandments. It's up to us. We can receive blessings from God if we want them. We can see, this just talks about special blessings that we can get from God. God wants to bless us. God wants to bless us, but we have to be ready to receive the blessing. We have to be spiritually prepared to receive the blessing. May God bless us to that end, that we might be ready to receive blessings from God. It's important. Each one of us can be blessed, and we can be blessed abundantly. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love our Savior, Jesus Christ. I love our Heavenly Father. Brothers and sisters, you need to prepare. You need to prepare for whatever is going to happen now. And I'm telling you, it will. It will definitely happen. God is wanting us to be prepared. There's a lot going on in our world. I did not get into politics because I don't have enough time tonight. Maybe tomorrow or by Wednesday at the latest, we'll get into some politics. But there's a lot happening, and we need to be wary of it. We need to be on top of the ball. Yes, we need to be on the ball when it comes to our weather and our safety, to earthquakes, or whatever's going on. We need to be on top of it. May God bless us. May God help you all to pray. Pray and find out if what we're saying is true. Ask God. Ask God if what we're saying and teaching you is the truth. Because God will give it to you. If you are one sincere and you have true intent, God will reveal the truth of what we're saying to you from the Spirit of the Holy Ghost. And by the Spirit, by and through the Spirit of the Holy Ghost, you shall know the truth of all things. I bear you that testimony. I know it's true. I bear you that testimony in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. If anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. Take care, everyone. God loves you. God wants to bless you. Have a good night. We will see you back tomorrow, if not before. Take care, everyone. God bless. See you soon. Ignore the address on our videos because the video that's up there is wrong. We have our address, our post office box, in the program description, at the top of the program description, directly beneath this video today. God bless you all. Thank you all for being here. Have a good night.